Facebook is the latest of many businesses that have pushed back in-person return to the office, joining Amazon and Lyft with the target date of at least January of next year before they start bringing people back. With us right now to talk more about it is Seetal Neely. She's a professor of business administration at Harvard Business School. Her latest piece in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend was titled "The Biggest Mistakes Bosses Will Make with Returning Workers After COVID-19." And the first mistake she lists, treating their employees like children. Explain what you mean, Seetal.
Well, the idea that people have to be in the office for them to progress on their work has been debunked in the last 18 months or so with the remote work world, where people are asking for agency, they want flexibility, they want to manage where they work, from home sometimes, at the office sometimes, but not in this fully controlled autocratic environment.
Seetal, I get that, and it's definitely an employee's market right now. They tend to have a lot of power because there's flexibility. It's hard to find workers, and it's hard to be able to convince people to come in and do some of these things. But the one thing I'd say is that might change in the not too distant future, and if it does, will there be a turning tide at that point? I mean, I would think that employers also have the issue with trying to manage people who have been allowed to work from home for the last 18 to 20 months versus those who have had to come in all of the time. And it really does put an additional burden on the people who are coming in and don't have any flexibility.
You know, the nature of work has changed. What COVID has done is it's accelerated the virtualization of work. So this idea that remote work is only here temporarily or an aberration is just not accurate. It's been accelerated. Work and digitally enabled work is what's upon us. So we're not attached to space as we had previously, nor time. So this enduring change is what employers need to understand and lean into. So it's not a matter of this is a temporary state. This is a matter of people have experienced, have seen, have felt things that they've never done before. And productivity has gone up in most places.
I wouldn't argue that. Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that. I think you're right. I think there were plenty of people who worked very well remotely and who showed that maybe you don't need to commute into a city and spend 2 hours of your day in travel and in transit every day. It's just that not everybody's work can be remote. And I think it does kind of point to that bigger divide between the haves and have-nots in some situations.
In some sense, yes, and remote work is not a panacea, which is why most organizations, even those that you cite earlier, are moving into a hybrid format that combines some remote, some in person, so that people get the best of both worlds. And that's kind of the point where we're in right now in this evolution of work.
We've seen Google and some others talk about how if you're going to move to a cheaper location and stay there and be remote all the time, maybe they're going to pay you less than they were when you were working in the Bay Area and having to come in. Does that make sense to you, or the idea of giving an additional bonus to people who are continuing to commute in? I mean, it's a carrot and stick sort of setup, but it does cost more if you're commuting in every day.
Well, the labor cost issue and the cost of living issue has been around for decades. This is how global organizations have done their calculus when they think about salaries. So to pay people cost of living that's aligned with where they are makes complete sense. But organizations like Google have to also think about the cost of working. People are giving up real estate in their homes, broadband. There's a lot of cost that individual employees are taking on in order to work. So this is kind of a rebalancing act. As far as paying people to commute to come in the office, that's already embedded in the cost of living structure. What's missing today is the cost of working from your home, and we need to rebalance that.
Are there some industries that are doing better with this than others? Some regions that are doing better than others?
I think some industries like the tech sector are doing better than others because they have much more experience. That's the only reason, right? So they've been experimenting with remote work for a very, very long time. Cisco started in 1993. So this idea of remote work is not only not new, there's a lot of wisdom and insight that we have from decades of experience. It's just that the scale and magnitude has grown. HubSpot is doing this phenomenally well. They were right up front early January with their hybrid policies, where they've thought through not only how do you think about remote workers, but those who want to be digital nomads, want to work in different places, and how a company can accommodate flexibly as well for those who are not staying in the same state as the company.
I guess it's a marketplace as well, with all of these employers competing as well. Sadal, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.